Travis Wayne Goodsell. In case you missed yesterday's video series, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints paid for the war in Ukraine. Ukraine. Got Deutsche Bank we're talking about here. It's because of Ezekiel chapter 38. Bruce R. McConkie wrote the chapter heading, and it says the Battle of Gog and Magog, which is Russia. Ukraine was part of Russia until the fall of Russia. Putin wants his country back, and since Ukraine is not a part of NATO, he's not worried about being counterattacked. Except this time, whereas in previous conditions such as Georgia and Crimea, there's an all-out financial war against Putin. And so it's not going as well as planned per se, but that's not his interest. He now controls 2 power plants, as he knows that as long as he doesn't attack a NATO country, he can continue this Ukraine war until he conquers them. And he doesn't care if he loses a whole bunch of his army men. He's not interested in that. And he'll likely go on to Moldova, the little piece right there next to Ukraine, because they're not a part of NATO either. But who's going to stop him? He's already threatened nuclear war if NATO interferes. And they won't, because they're afraid of war. And so millions of refugees, women and children, with the the hospital, the maternity hospital, bombed the other day, which set me off for yesterday's video, to make sure nobody forgets the church paid for that. That pissed me off. But he has no problem doing a genocidal war against Ukrainians, because they're betrayers. They abandoned Russia, the fatherland, and so he wants them back. And will chase out the apostate Korahors to get it back. And it doesn't matter if people sanction him for gas and oil, he'll have his power plants. If he needs to use one of them to have another nuclear catastrophe, he's all set now. But Deutsche Bank, it's during a certain asterisk president of the United States 45, Deutsche Bank was in the headlines quite a lot, because Deutsche Bank is the bank for the world's criminals to launder money through. And I'm the only one that knew this, because I actually checked. And I'll try to get the clip where Deutsche Bank is in the clip for you, because I did a video of it. The church, through Tithing, the whistleblower, remember him? It's been a long time. Government refused to do anything about it, hold the church accountable. But Deutsche Bank is listed as one of their investments with the Tithing stock portfolio. Yep. And so the news today, Deutsche Bank reverses after criticism. John Marriott didn't reverse after my criticism yesterday. The church didn't reverse and rescue the missionaries after my criticism yesterday. Those missionaries are stranded in Russia. Those are Mormons. I'm not a hater of Mormons. I don't hate you guys. You hate me. I'm trying to save your lives, and you hate me and want me dead. You've got the problem, not me. I'm trying to save you. Nonetheless, those missionaries are in danger right now. They don't have access to food, if you've been paying attention in the news. Their lives are in danger now because Nelson only pulled out the Ukrainian missionaries so that Putin can come in and take it over, so that we can have a temple now announced in Russia. The Kiev Ukrainian, now Russian temple. They paid for this to happen. And they abandoned the Mormon missionaries and the Mormons. There's 23,000 Mormons in Russia. There are likely some men who are having to fight you in Ukraine. They are trapped and are suffering because of all these financial sanctions and the companies that are pulling out of Russia. And Deutsche Bank now is not going to deal with Russia anymore. But there's more, because the church invests in Deutsche Bank. By pulling out of Russia, they lose money, and thus their stocks are going to fall. And thus the church's investment in Deutsche Bank will fall, along with any other company that they might be investing in that has pulled from Russia. Might want to see if they have McDonald's or others. I can't remember the gas companies like Shell or others that have pulled support from Russia. The church is taking a massive hit in the stock market. Not just with tithing, because remember, the church came out and confessed, yeah, we're violating tax law because we're following the parable of the talents. I did the video all day yesterday. And so as a result, all the other LLC companies that have stock portfolios, because the church announced that for the Light the World this year, or last year, it made, what was it, 2 million? Something like that? Well, that's great. That means that 200,000 of that money went into the Light the World LLC corporation's stock market, and some of it went into the stock market to invest in the stocks. That's how they do it. That's what they said. Parable of the talents. For the end of the world. As the whistleblower said, IRS does not allow that. You cannot get tax-exempt status if you're saving for the end of the world. You're supposed to give the money to those who need. The poor and the needy, the sick and the afflicted. You're not supposed to hoard it. But they're hoarding it. And God is pissed. And so, yeah, the church has taken a hit financially. But in comparison, the money is half of the interest investment money. That's how they do it. And so the 50 billion for the stock portfolio for tithing was 100 in the investment back in 2019. And so calculating it is likely over 200 or something like that. But regardless, let the whistleblower handle the financial reporting on that one. But yeah, the church is going to be taking a hit with all their stock portfolios. And they're likely part of selling off their stock The stock market fell for the end of the week, obviously, but they'll reinvest in war-friendly stocks. So don't feel too bad for the church. But they'll come back and reinvest. That's what the stock market's all about. It's rich men getting richer, manipulating the events in the world. And so all of you suckers and losers who put in $1,000 hoping to become the next billionaire, unbelievable. So yeah, that's the news. Deutsche Bank has fallen in the stock market. Church's investment. But Marriott, nope, hasn't withdrawn. Church, nope, hasn't even attempted to communicate their concern for the Russian missionaries during this time. You know, typically before Nelson, we'd hear about any missionary around the world who was murdered or died in an accident or they got hurt or something. There was always something communicated to the Mormons about it, because Mormons are concerned about our missionaries. But with Russian missionaries, nope, silence. And I'm horrified. The mission president of Moscow is Mormon from the States. I went over that with you. The West, Adam West, Batman. Back from the dead. Not just on South Park, Back from the Dead. As they do a remembrance, as the name of the school is the Adam West School, if you've ever seen the Family Guy. Not South Park, Family Guy. So, yeah, this is a sad day. The church has abandoned Mormons, and you guys want me dead. A YouTube employee on that video doubled up the processing so that he can freeze it the second time around. 2 hours later, it's still at 12% processing. And I had to re-upload it for you guys. That's how evil Mormons are. Now, I told you, Mormons, because they are lied to by the leaders, they are deceived and lied to. And so Mormons are either in denial, supporting the lies, or they have a faith crisis. But eventually, those who are in denial will break. And I told you in the other video that break for those Mormons who are in denial will be either a complete and utter breakdown of a severe faith crisis, far more than ex-Mormons, or they will resort to criminal violence, as the YouTube Mormon employee did to me. That was a cyber terrorist attack on me. And he thinks, well, I'm just slowing down the processing for several hours. But that was a cyber terrorist attack he did on me. It was a serious crime. He broke because of my videos yesterday. He couldn't handle the fact that the church paid for this war. And he broke and chose to commit crimes against me. Rather than breaking down, quitting his job, start drinking, drugs, sex with many women, that other extreme, rather than just a simple faith crisis. as regular ex-Mormons do. But that video that I was attacked on is to help you how to study, teaching you how to do it using science, using logic, not your bias from what the church tells you to believe. Alrighty. We are at war here, guys. The church is murdering us. I just want to save your lives physically. You know, screw the spirit for right now. We need to save physical Mormon lives. Once we get that done, if you want spiritual stuff, great, we'll give it to you. I know how to give it to you. The Egyptian religion is the origin of religion. I can teach it to you. Not an issue. But we need to save your physical lives right now. You are being destroyed by this church. And they have to stop. They need to leave us alone. They need to get the hell out of America.